Down jackets have a reputation for being incredibly warm. You put one on and almost immediately feel protected, wrapped, insulated. In cold, dry conditions, down often feels warmer than anything else. And yet, many people have experienced the opposite too. A moment when that same jacket suddenly stops feeling warm at all. The temperature hasn't changed much, but comfort drops quickly. This contrast isn't accidental. It comes from how down insulation works, and where its limits begin. What down does so well? Down feels warm almost instantly because it expands. When you put on a down jacket, the clusters of down fluff up and fill space. This creates a large volume of trapped air around your body in a very short time. That air is the real source of warmth. Down is exceptionally good at holding a lot of still air, while weighing very little. The loft is high, the structure is light, and heat loss slows down dramatically. This is why down feels so efficient. You get strong insulation without bulk. Another reason down feels warm is how evenly it surrounds the body. The fill distributes itself smoothly, reducing cold spots and gaps. As long as the down stays dry and fully lofted, warmth feels stable and effortless. In ideal conditions, cold, dry air and low moisture, down performs extremely well. It creates immediate comfort with minimal weight, which is why it's so popular in cold weather clothing. Loft and air trapping. Down insulation works almost entirely through loft. Loft is the ability of the fill to stay expanded and hold air in place. The more loft the down has, the more air it traps, and the warmer it feels. Each down cluster acts like a tiny spring, creating space between fibers and preventing them from collapsing. This structure keeps air still, slowing the transfer of heat away from your body. As long as those air pockets remain intact, insulation stays effective. However, loft is delicate. It depends on the down remaining dry, uncompressed, and free to expand. When loft is reduced, air escapes, and insulation weakens quickly. This is the key to understanding down's strength and its vulnerability. Down doesn't generate warmth on its own. It relies entirely on space. When that space is preserved, warmth is exceptional. When it's lost, performance drops, sometimes faster than expected. The moisture problem. Down's biggest weakness is moisture. Even small amounts of it can change how insulation behaves. Moisture doesn't need to come from rain or snow. It often comes from your own body. Sweat, humidity, and condensation build up slowly inside clothing, especially during long wear or mild activity. When down absorbs moisture, the clusters begin to clump together. As they stick, loft decreases, air pockets collapse, and the insulation loses its ability to hold warmth. The jacket may still feel light and soft, but thermally it behaves very differently. Unlike some materials, down does not manage moisture well. It absorbs it but releases it slowly. Once damp, down struggles to recover its shape on its own. This makes warmth unstable, especially in conditions where moisture is unavoidable. This is why down works best in dry cold. As soon as moisture enters the system, its strongest advantage, high loft, becomes fragile. Why warmth suddenly drops. The most frustrating part of down insulation is how quickly warmth can disappear. At first, everything feels fine. The jacket is warm, light, and comfortable. Then, without a clear warning, the cold seems to break through. This happens because loft loss is not gradual in feeling, it's gradual in process. Air pockets shrink slowly as moisture builds or compression increases. But once enough space is lost, heat escapes much faster than before. The change feels sudden, even though the cause has been building quietly. At that point, your body can't compensate. Heat production stays the same, but insulation performance drops below a critical level. Warmth no longer keeps up with heat loss, and comfort collapses. This is the moment people describe as the jacket stopped working. In reality, the down didn't fail instantly. It reached the point where it could no longer protect the air that made it warm in the first place. How synthetic fill holds heat differently. Synthetic insulation takes a different approach to warmth. Instead of relying on delicate clusters that need perfect conditions, synthetic fibers are designed to trap air in a more controlled and predictable way. The fibers are structured to hold their shape, even when conditions are less than ideal. Rather than expanding dramatically like down, synthetic fill creates smaller, more stable air pockets. These pockets don't provide the same instant wow warmth, but they are less sensitive to changes in humidity, pressure, or movement. Heat retention builds more gradually, but it stays consistent. Another key difference is how synthetic fill handles moisture. Synthetic fibers do not absorb water in the same way down does. Even when damp, they continue to trap air and slow heat loss. The fabric may feel heavier, but insulation performance remains relatively stable. This is why synthetic jackets often feel less impressive at first, but more reliable over time. They don't depend on perfect loft. They depend on structure. And structure is harder to destroy. Stability over time. Warmth isn't just about how a jacket feels when you put it on. It's about how it feels an hour later. This is where synthetic insulation often outperforms down. As time passes, clothing is compressed by movement, sitting, straps, and body posture. Moisture slowly accumulates. In these conditions, synthetic fill keeps much of its insulating ability. The fibers bend and recover, maintaining enough airspace to slow heat loss. Down, by contrast, becomes more vulnerable over time. Once loft is reduced, recovery is slow and incomplete without drying. Synthetic insulation rebounds more easily, restoring its structure as pressure changes. This stability makes synthetic fill especially useful in real-life situations: walking, commuting, waiting, changing temperatures. While down excels in controlled, dry cold, synthetic insulation shines where conditions are unpredictable and time works against perfect warmth. Cold, damp, and real-life conditions. Most everyday conditions are not ideal. Cold often comes with moisture, changing activity levels, and long periods of wear. You walk, stop, wait, sit, and move again. Your body produces heat unevenly, and moisture slowly builds inside your clothing. In these real-life situations, insulation is constantly challenged. Compression from backpacks, pressure from sitting, and subtle humidity all reduce performance. Down struggles here because its warmth depends on perfect loft. Once moisture or compression enters the system, recovery is slow. Synthetic insulation is built for these conditions. It accepts that moisture and pressure will happen, and continues to function anyway. Even when damp, synthetic fill maintains enough structure to trap air and slow heat loss. This doesn't mean synthetic is warmer in theory. It means it is warmer in practice when conditions are messy, unpredictable, and prolonged. Real life rarely matches ideal test environments, and insulation that tolerates imperfection often feels more comfortable overall. Who each fill is actually best for? Down works best for dry, cold, and short exposure. It suits situations where conditions are controlled and moisture is minimal. Cold, clear days, low humidity, and limited activity. If lightweight and immediate warmth are the priority, down performs exceptionally well. Synthetic fill works best for variable conditions. It suits movement, stops and starts, damp air, and long wear. If warmth needs to stay reliable across time and changing situations, synthetic insulation offers more consistency. Neither option is universally better. They are optimized for different realities. Down excels when everything goes right. Synthetic performs when things don't. Choosing between them isn't about quality or trends. It's about matching insulation to the conditions you actually experience, not the ones described on a label.